Hi everyone, my name is Laura. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. On this channel, I'm talking all things lipedema, anything and everything related to living with it, treating it, all the way down to having surgery. Today I wanted to speak specifically about my lipedema removal surgery, which was a water-assisted liposuction. And the reason I want to talk about it is because it has been life-changing for me. It's not the only option, but it is one of the more aggressive forms of treatment when it comes to treating lipedema. So while the actual cause of lipedema is not known, it's something that's continually being researched. There are hormonal, genetic, inflammatory factors that contribute to the accumulation of lipedema fat in a woman's body. And most often it is accumulated on the limbs, specifically the legs. So for me, I had column-shaped legs my entire life. When I hit puberty, they got bigger. When I hit perimenopause is when I began to gain weight uncontrollably without having had changed anything drastically in my diet or my exercise routine. I personally had always had pain associated with my lipedema, but didn't really understand the gravity of that pain because it's something that I'd always lived with. Extensive bruising on my legs. I thought like I must be a little bit clumsy because I had bruising all over my legs all of the time. However, I stayed very active for my entire life, so I was able to prevent it from becoming something that was impacting my movement or my ability to function in everyday life. I was navigating more knee pain and trying to figure out how to stop gaining weight at such a rapid speed. And so I somehow, during this period of my life, perimenopause, came across lipedema. And I believe I had Googled, fat legs, pain in knees. And I think I had gone down a rabbit hole. And it was because I was having lots of pain going up and down the stairs. And this was something that was strange to me because I wasn't experiencing days where I didn't have the pain. And so once I discovered lipedema and what it was, I then immersed myself in all of the information associated with how to prevent new lipedema growth, as well as many different theories about leaky gut, leaky veins, inflammation, and how getting rid of inflammation in your body can support your body in not producing more lipedema fat. Learned all about the lymphatic system and how it works to get rid of toxins in our body as well as excess hormones. And I then was able to get a referral to a doctor to speak more about my hormones and sort of getting my hormones in check while navigating perimenopause. What I came to determine for myself, which it's going to be different for every woman, was that I had an influx of estrogen and very low progesterone at the time. And so I was able to get a prescription for a medication that supports progesterone production. And almost immediately, that week, I began to experience less inflammation. What I've learned about progesterone is it does reduce inflammation. So that was a really, really powerful thing because with less inflammation, I felt less pain. So once I did all of these different conservative treatments, also including compression therapy, different yoga moves such as legs up the wall, swimming, being in the water. The compression of water is really great for your lymphatic system. I began to support my body with foods that were anti-inflammatory, as well as steering clear from different foods that cause inflammation in my body. One of those major things being wheat. Now I have incorporated sourdough breads and different products back into my diet, and I do feel good. I don't feel inflammation. And so with doing all of these things, I still had pain, as well as excess, like a lot of lipedema fat on my legs. And so I began to research lipedema reduction surgery. And so, like I said, this was water-assisted liposuction. There are other methods that are used, but water-assisted liposuction was what I chose to look into specifically because it's lymph sparing. I didn't want to change or trade lipedema for lymphedema because I'd accidentally damaged my lymphatic system through doing this lipedema removal surgery. Many women with lipedema are actually misdiagnosed with lymphedema, and they're two completely different things. However, when you have lipedema, it can damage your lymphatic system when you get into some of the later stages and then cause lymphedema. So not only do some women have lipedema, but they also have lymphedema because that accumulation of fat and that pressure has caused damage to the lymphatic system. So with learning all of this information, I was like, okay, now I want to get the lipedema out of my body. My legs were my main concern, especially because that's where the majority of my pain is felt. And so I began to reach out and research different surgeons. I'm Canadian, and there's very little research done in Canada surrounding lipedema, and there are no surgeons that specialize in lipedema reduction surgery. I do know of a couple of plastic surgeons that advertise that they do lipedema reduction surgery. And if you are a Canadian woman and you've had this done, share with us in the comments. The surgeon close to me, though, did not use a water-assisted liposuction. And so it was something that I wasn't considering. So I reached out and had consults with an American surgeon, a surgeon, actually, I think he was a dermatologist in, I want to say Spain, and then one in Poland. I ultimately went with the female surgeon that I found in Poland, mostly because I had spoke with other women who had had surgery with her, as well as she was willing to do my entire legs. She was not going to guarantee that she'd be able to do it in one surgery, but she thought, based on the images of myself I sent her, that she may be able to do it in one surgery. And the thought of only having to recover one time was very appealing to me. So I just want to share a little bit about how I began to prepare for this surgery. So not only did I do a whole bunch of research beforehand, there's a couple of community groups on Facebook where I was able to speak with other women that had had the surgery. But I also began to research how to prepare. So my number one priority before surgery was to distinguish what caused inflammation in my body and how I could prevent excess inflammation. So I did this through diet, compression therapy, as well as manual lymphatic drainage. And then another thing I was doing to prepare was really beginning to understand my lymphatic system and how I could support my body, especially because I have lipedema. My lymphatic system is taxed. It is busy. So I learned how to do manual lymphatic drainage on myself and began practicing that. I got a pump, a vibration plate, a rebounder. If you can see that, it's kind of blending in with the walls. And I began using those regularly. So I already walked, and I'm a yoga teacher, so I teach yoga. So I'm doing lots of exercise and activity already. So I didn't really increase my activity level. However, I did continue to focus on things that were going to support my lymphatic system. So for example, calf pumps are something that I do 100 of every single day. You can do it 10 here, 10 there, until you reach 100 throughout the day. I'm often, when I'm doing dishes or waiting for the dishwasher, doing those calf pumps, so that it's just become a part of my daily routine. It's just a habit that I hardly even have to think about. So some other things I did to prepare for my surgery was mentally. There is a lot of fear that went through my mind associated with going to another country and having surgery. I had never had any sort of major surgery here in Canada. And so another reason I also chose the surgeon that I chose was that she didn't put you under general anesthesia. She did a spinal block with sedation, and that was appealing to me because I do know that with certain anesthesia, it can cause, a series of things that you need to recover from when you come out of that. And so it was very appealing to me the way my doctor, Dr. Nowicka, decided to proceed with her surgeries. So mentally preparing for surgery was a big part of my process. So the really cool thing about Dr. Nowicka is that she is so very talented. There's only one of her. She does have another surgeon that does work with her, but her the wait time is generally a year or more. And so when I booked my surgery, it was actually booked for the end of this August coming up, 2024. And so I was preparing myself mentally. I knew that I had over a year and a half to get ready mentally and emotionally, as well as figuring out what I needed to take, booking my stay while I'm there, understanding and navigating the challenges of having surgery in a country where you don't speak the language. So I began to envision what my surgery would be like and how it would go, and I was envisioning it going perfectly, everything going smooth, as well as me being able to stay the required at least 10 days in Poland, and then I was envisioning my flight coming home and it just all going so perfectly. And then I started to feel like I want to have this surgery sooner. So I started to envision myself having it instead of in August 2024. I started to envision myself having it in the fall or winter of 2023. And there are women who booked, a year or two in advance and for whatever reason are unable to then do the surgery. And so rather than them lose their deposit, women who had already booked their surgery can take their place and then pay the amount they paid in terms of their deposit to that individual, and then all of those funds that have been paid to the clinic go towards your surgery. And so I came across a woman from where I live in Toronto, just in a group that was no longer able to have her surgery. So I reached out to her, and originally she said that she already had someone that was interested in it. And I said, okay, well, if things don't work out, please reach back out to me. She said, yeah, it is kind of weird. I haven't heard from her in a couple of months. And at this point, it was June and her surgery date was the end of August. So I said, if you don't mind, please get back to me by July. And she's like, okay. So then about a week or two later, she's like, I can't reach this girl. So if you would like the surgery, let's reach out to the clinic together and you can have my spot. So we did. And I I got an earlier surgery date at basically a year before what my scheduled surgery was. So while I was mentally preparing to be going on this journey over a year from now, all of a sudden it was moved up to like maybe 40 days from me deciding that I was officially going to take it. I took a day or two and, you know, powered through the fear that I was feeling, because, you know, our ego is here to keep us alive. And that's what I was like, my mind was going to all worst case scenarios. And then I was like, no, this is going to be life changing. And so I accepted her surgery date, was able to pay her deposit back. And then that went towards my surgery. And then the countdown was on. It was almost like 30 days and counting. So then I had to like overcome this, you know, money mindset thing in terms of flying to Poland. I'm only like 30 days out from needing this flight, and the costs were large. And so I paid the most I've ever paid for a flight ever in my experience, but then it was done, ready, and booked. A really cool thing was I was talking to my sister about this entire experience, and she's like, oh, well, why don't I meet you in Poland? I think she was in Costa Rica, so she wouldn't be able to leave with me, but she could come after my surgery. So I think maybe like a week after me. And she did. So everything worked out. One of her friends flew in from Amsterdam, who was actually Polish, met up with us and stayed with us after I had my surgery. So everything worked out better than I could have ever imagined. So picture this. I take a flight to Poland and I check into an apartment, and, you know, a day later, I believe it was a day or two later, I go in and I check in and have finally a face-to-face consult with the doctor, which is wonderful. And she speaks very little English, but she's very good at what she does speak. And so for myself and having this surgery in another country, I fully trusted that this woman had my best interest at heart. And so I essentially surrendered and trusted that she knew what was going to be best for me, because this was something that she was experienced in. And so I then met with the anesthesiologist, and I said to her, like, I know you do a spinal block with sedation. If I wake up during, I'm really curious and I want to be able to watch. And she said, oh, no, you're not going to want that. And I said, yes, but just, you know, wait a minute if I do wake up a little bit. And so I went in for the surgery, and I did wake up, and immediately the anesthesiologist got up to give me a little bit more sedation. I was like, wait. And so then the doctor showed me my leg, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you're a magician. And I don't think she knew what I was saying. And so then I just gave her the thumbs up. So then I was able to actually see some of what she was doing, and it was incredible. Very, very cool. I know not for everyone, but definitely really cool experience for me. And then she just said, if you're feeling any pressure or pain, please let us know. I felt a little bit of pressure, but no pain. And so she moved along. And then I think I kind of dozed off after I'd watched and talked for a little bit. And then I woke up as I was being wheeled out of that room to be taken for recovery and observation. And yeah, so they put on some compressions right after the surgery, and I wasn't able to take those off for, oh my goodness, I think it was like 3 or 4 days when I went and I had my first MLD session with a woman in the clinic and had like a full shower there. So incredible experience. I think I will save the recovery and everything for another video, because this, I'm already almost at 20 minutes, but immediately after, I was like shocked when I saw my legs because the swelling hadn't set in yet and I could move my legs. And I asked the doctor how long before I could begin doing squats and stuff, because this was some feedback that I got from some women, was that they found it painful doing squats, etc. So I had done some research, and what I found was the sooner you can begin that movement, the less likely there will be to be any scar tissue buildup. And so that was a big focus of mine. The doctor said as soon as the sedation had worn off and I could walk and move around, then I could also do squats, but to really listen to my body. So I did. And yeah, I did squats that same day, walked up and down the hallways. All of this was like hours after my surgery because I wanted to make sure that I ate and I went pee and everything was good, and it all was. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about the water-assisted liposuction, which was incredible. 2, 4, 6, 8. There was maybe like 10 tiny and maybe 12 tiny incisions on each leg. And now you can't really see at all any of those tiny little scars. And so, yeah, it's pretty miraculous. Almost immediately, like once the swelling and the healing had taken place, no pain. And so that was my main motivation. And then a secondary motivation was aesthetically, I could now fit into clothes that fit my body rather than having to wear clothes that were too big, so I was able to cover my legs. And then the third benefit that I actually didn't really anticipate was my ability and my mobility to improve like tenfold. So, I used to run when I had lipedema fat in my legs, and it was so challenging and exhausting. And now I can run without even thinking a second thought. Like, it's very, very easy for me. I've been rock climbing, skating. I've done so many different activities that I did before that are now 10 times easier. Even teaching yoga is very easy for me now, whereas I would get winded very easily, and it's because I had all of this extra weight that was impacting my ability to move. So lipedema reduction surgery is something that, if it feels right for you, I highly recommend that you begin doing some research about it, and know that doing several consultations with a bunch of different doctors can be a really powerful experience for you, so you can pick who feels best, who feels like the best match for you. And yeah, doing the research about how to prevent inflammation as well as hormone fluctuation. So if you're like my age, in your late 30s, and perimenopause is something that you've experienced or are experiencing, speaking and learning more about your hormones so that you can have a really good handle on that before you go in for your surgery, so that you don't do your surgery, then come out and then have a rapid lipedema growth period. You do not want that. So yeah, if anybody has any questions at all about the lipedema removal surgery, please leave those questions in the comments and I am happy to answer. I'm gonna leave it there, and I hope you guys all have a fabulous day, and yeah, happy July. Bye.